Ave Satanis. Welcome back to the Sanctuary Satanica. You already know who the fuck I am. And if you don't, my name's Angela. Hi, I'm the Guardian here. And guardianship here is exactly what I want to talk about, because occasionally I get people asking me to join the Sanctuary, and at the moment that is not something that's really possible beyond joining as a patron, which you're always welcome to join Patreon. But today I wanted to talk about a little system I call the Tenets of Guardianship. Sometimes I debate calling them the tridents of guardianship, because that's really kind of what they are. Because I guess altogether it'd be like 12 different things, but really I think of them as 4 main ideas that are expressed in 3 ways each. And the way that I visualize that is with the tridents and the crossroads, which you see in my logo. And you'll also see in this lovely deck that's helping me today, my own deck, the Oracle Satanica, which is now available for purchase. And the link will be in the description, and I'll put up some kind of QR code for those watching on TV. So there are 4 tridents. Ooh, it actually looks pretty if I spread them out like this. 4 tridents. In this deck is how they came out corresponding to the elements, which I originally did not have them correspond to earth, air, fire, water, but I think it worked out. So I'm not going to go over what each of them specifically is, because I'll flash that on the screen, and if you want to know more, you can go look at my website. How I am going to talk about these tridents is less so in explaining every single detail about them, and more about how I see them flow into each other and how they apply in a general sense. The specific different tenets of each one will be, again, on the screen, always on my website, and they will also be mentioned more in depth in the digital guidebook for the cards. So, the first trident is the trident of will. The trident of will is represented by water because the true will that one can feel called to is very much like a tide or a current. It's something that we flow into. It's not something that is completely out of range for us. It's something that we feel naturally sort of flowing toward. Even when we try to avoid it, the current seems to pull us toward it. And that's because the trident of will is not about whims and wants. It's about true desires and true purpose. So it's about aligning ourselves with the current of our purpose, because without doing that, we don't even know what we're trying to initiate towards or work towards. So it is the starting point. And it does correspond a little bit with emotions, although I would say it's more about the true desire of one's heart rather than like passing feeling. Next is the trident of force. Now, initially I called this trident the trident of power, but that got kind of confusing because there's another card called power, and the concept was there first, so I felt compelled to, at least in the deck, call it the trident of force. And then I eventually changed it on the website because I actually felt that this word was correct. Now in English, this word has some negative connotations because it implies like being forced against one's will, which is not happening here because we just had the trident of will start us off. So what is force in this context? Force in this context is having the drive, having an energy behind what you're doing, and the important thing is that you're doing something. So once we've established will, we have to establish action in alignment with our will. It is represented by fire and the sun here, because it is, it can be destructive, it can be creative, it can be, invigorating, or it can be devastating if you're not careful with your power of force. Force is about what we are capable of. And so stepping into our true capabilities means that we are acting with them. So that is the trident of force. Now, the last 2 tridents are interesting because they begin to incorporate elements of all of the tridents into them, which you'll read on the screen how they do that. But I'm going to try to talk about them more practically. And this one's a little hard to talk about practically. It's the trident of spirit, which is represented by the element of air, which some people might be like, why'd you call it spirit? I did debate calling it the trident of breath, but I felt like that was too linked to just air and a physical action, even though breath can represent life. I feel like instead spirit represents the mystery and the element of air represents the intellect, and that's really what this trident is about. It's about using the intellect in the face of mystery. So that's not always about rationalizing away things, but it's also about recognizing that sometimes we don't know something, and having the curiosity and the willingness to allow that to unfold to us. And without that capability, we're not going to be able to talk to spirits, at least not accurately, and we're not going to be able to enjoy, a huge portion of life because we think we already know everything. So the trident of spirit is here to remind us that we don't know everything, but we know what we know. And once we know how to listen to that inner voice within each and every one of us, and Satan's voice within us, it is easier to not be led astray, and it's easier to confront the unknown because we have a strong basis of knowledge and a strong basis of what is and is not true. Does not mean that we cannot be proven wrong at one point, but trusting what is true versus what we want to be true is very important with this trident. The last trident is the trident of flesh, and I feel like I want to talk about the imagery a little bit of the trident of flesh. The imagery on each of them is significant, but the trident of flesh is the most alchemical one, I would say. It is sprouts of like newly green little plants growing out of dry, cracked earth, and in the background, molten magma that's cooling. Earth comes from magma. A lot of fertile soil and beautiful islands come from volcanoes erupting and their lava cooling. And so the trident of flesh is about things becoming material, right? It is combining, the lava often touching the water to cool. It's combining fire and water and becoming earth. And it's getting oxygen in it, to give life. So in a way, it's combining all of the previous tridents, and it is the most important because without this trident, all that other work goes nowhere. This is about how things show up, how your lessons actually benefit you in the real world, in your body, in your life, in your wallet. It's all those physical things. And the trident of flesh is about being, living it, being it, embodying. So it's not about telling, it's not about explaining, which if we have an imbalance in, the previous trident, that might happen. But, or an obsession with understanding, right? But the trident of flesh isn't asking us to understand or to explain. It's asking us to step into being and to find out through instinct and to find out through being present, right? So this is how we actually live. Now, all the four tridents do come together in this formation you see in my logo, which is also on the back of Oracle Satanica, which is the four tridents forming a crossroads. And at the center of the crossroads is the spark. Now, the spark is that infernal inspiration that comes from these tridents flowing correctly, or intersecting rather correctly. And it also represents the initiate. And the sun coming out of the spark is the growth of the initiate and the ultimate goal represented in this sort of like final form. And at the apex of this intersection, the initiate has every option available to them. And I feel also that is the goal of a left-hand path practitioner, is to have, godhood, right? Is to have mastery over self and thus, you know, a greater influence, if not a total influence on one's reality. And that is what is represented here. So if you are interested in getting the Oracle Satanica, it is available now. I think I'll spend some time showing you guys some of my favorite cards. If you want to see every single card, I do show them on Patreon. So I'll just show you a few right now. And you'll notice when you get the cards that there's a lot of tridents in here. There's a lot of tridents in here. But let me just show some of my favorite stuff. Ooh. One of my faves. Let's see. This is one I worked really hard on. It's called Exodus. And I don't know if you can see, but yeah, I worked really hard on that one. It's another one that I really, really, really love. Actually, I'll show this one. And, oh, fuck it, why not? One more. Let's show the Baphomet one. That was really hard to make, this one. It looks so simple, but it was one of the hardest ones to make. If you haven't made your own tarot deck and you've thought about it, do it, because I'll say doing it with and incorporating your own personal magical system into a deck that you use regularly, it hits different. It absolutely hits different. I've incorporated a lot of things that I like. A lot of the demons in here, actually all the demons in here, are demons that I work with. And then there's also systems represented here, just like the tridents. I just saw it. I do have the iron pentagram represented here. And this imagery will make more sense, like, if you have the deck. But as you can see, Lilith is here. The card that was representing Lilith is right here. So, sorry, I'm so proud of them. I am so proud of these, and I look forward to making more cards in the future. I think, I don't want to say too much, but I have a couple ideas brewing. Definitely a labor of love. It took me a long ass time, and digital art is not my usual medium, but using my own photography plus, you know, what I had at my disposal to do digital art, it came out so beautiful, and I am obsessed. The version with the red edges is my fave. It also comes with a nice hard box, which I'll show you in a minute. I also have a version that doesn't have that and doesn't have a box because that was the cheapest I could make it. I just thought I'd give the option for those who don't want all the bells and whistles and are totally okay with that. But yes, this version comes with a box that's nice and sturdy and travelable, and I even crash tested. My patrons know that I crash tested it by taking the brand new box with my brand new cards in a little bag on the train to Boston to go see She Passed Away. This is actually the shirt I got there. And while I was there, it was awesome, but they're a massive band if you're in the goth scene. Like, they're a massive band, like, internationally. And this one douchebag was, like, bumping into everybody, and he was bumping into me, and I just slammed back into him without thinking about my cards in the bag. And you know what? The box only has one little scuff on it, and that's because my keys were in the bottom of the bag. So I know that box is pretty sturdy. So if you feel your cards need protection, I highly recommend getting the box version. If you have plenty of like wide set, these are kind of wider cards, wide set like Oracle deck boxes or tarot boxes, you might be okay. You might just like a bag, it's up to you. But if you like the fancy sides, you're gonna wanna get the box because that's the ones that this comes in. Okay, so here is the box. Very cute. There's the little scuff. And it's pretty sturdy. I don't have any cards in it right now, but it just opens up, you know, like that. And the first thing you'll see is the title card. It'll probably be faced this way. It'll have a QR code for you, and if that doesn't work for any reason, which it always should, there's a link here that you can go to that will have the guidebook. And also I've included this card, which is not, it's not a divination card, but it is a prayer card. So that's also just included to bless every single deck with Satan's power. So yeah, if you're interested, please do grab one, because like I would love for more people to have these cards. Every time I show people in person, like they're always obsessed. Okay, sorry for the drastic change in lighting. Yes, I stayed up all night. I was about to wash off my makeup and I realized I forgot to show you guys the cloth that I made for Oracle Satanica. It's quite soft and a decent size. I think it's 24 inches by 24 inches. Hopefully you can see it. Isn't it beautiful? Anyway, I thought I mentioned that. That's also for sale in the same link. So if you would like to get a cloth, it's really nice. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know if it'll be up as I post this, but I am, I'm creating a whole new website. I'm carrying over some of the more important content to the new site, but there's also going to be new content. There's going to be new services, hopefully soon. But right now I'm working on, the zine. Trying to get y'all to submit to the zine, please, please. And I'm not getting rid of the original website. That's staying up as like a backup or whatever. But the new website should be more functional, easier to navigate, and just sort of fits like where I'm going with everything right now. I'm excited. No more ads. Oh, I'm so sorry. No more ads on the website. And no more like long loading times. I've noticed that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see y'all later.